Marketing is often one of the things that's added on at a later stage, believe it or not.
Okay.
So people don't necessarily look on a CRM as just a marketing tool. They mainly go for it as CRM for sales and then add on marketing at a later stage.
Okay.
A lot of people don't always know their target market. They believe they do. Sometimes salespeople make up the percentage.
No.
It depends how rigorous sales managers are at following and looking at the data.
Welcome to the Business Sense podcast. I'm Gary Crosby. This is the podcast where we make sense of the business journey by talking to owners about what they've learnt along the way. Let's jump into today's episode. Mandy, thanks for joining me on the Business Sense podcast.
Thank you for the invitation, Gary.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. Just to give the viewers a bit of context then, tell us who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it.
Excellent, thank you. So my name's Mandy Allen and I'm the Business Relationship Manager at CRM Insights. We're based in Peterborough. Mm-hmm. The company itself is 7.5 years old and I've been with the company 6.5 years.
Right, okay. And how did you get involved in the world of, customer relationship management? That's the right word, isn't it?
So, well, for years, in various roles, I've been using CRM, customer relationship management software. So I was obviously familiar with the whole customer journey, the benefits of full visibility of what's happening with any service or product or solution that people were looking for. Yeah. So it just became a complete process, actually, of starting in the travel industry and working with systems then. I then moved on to work with a business coach and we had another CRM, another solution. Yep. And then I moved on to working for myself for 9 years, helping organisations with managing data, helping them set up their own solutions and helping them with business development, so how they could look at different data and analytics, statistics to help them with their decision making. And then I was approached by Don, one of the directors at CRM Insights. I knew him and his wife from Toastmasters. Oh, yeah. And Don and Mike had merged both their companies and come up with CRM Insights as a new business. And they asked if I would like to join them. And the rest is history.
There you are, 6.5 years later.
6.5 years later.
So there might be a few people watching who don't know what CRM is or don't understand customer relationship management. So just in the broader sense, give us a view of what what those kind of software systems do. So
yes, of course. It's a solution that helps organisations with their interactions with prospects and customers. So anything from the start of the journey, which is the marketing element of a CRM. Not everybody chooses to include marketing in the complete CRM. Or with the sales, which is probably the most popular solution that people go for using CRM. However, there's a lot more to it, and it is a whole process which takes you right through to the customer support and ongoing for looking at the way that the business is going for the customers and working alongside them. So as their businesses grow and change, we're able to help them with other parts that probably they hadn't considered that CRM might be useful for.
And I think it would be useful for us to step through those little individual steps, as you say, marketing, sales, what happens after the sale and things like that. But just in general terms, I guess there's a point at which businesses have enough data to make having a CRM worthwhile. Is there a kind of a tipping point where people move from a spreadsheet or a Word document into something a bit more sophisticated?
Yes, there is really. And some examples that we see are people usually start off with a spreadsheet because it's easily accessible. A lot of people know how to use a spreadsheet in simplistic form. However, as a business grows and you get more data, it's very difficult to track conversations within a spreadsheet.
Sure.
So you're not really able to put much within a cell. Also, if there's going to be more than one user, you get different versions, you get different security elements. There's no GDPR compliance, there's no audit tracking usually, and then people can take the data, add it to a USB, move it around, and so the safety aspect really isn't there for manual or for spreadsheet use. And we notice then that people start, they're spinning the plates and then they start dropping them, and it's at that point that people realise that the solutions that they've got in place or their ways of working at that time are not really working for them any longer.
So actually in that kind of situation then, so when people drop those plates, I guess they don't get back to prospects, they don't they don't maximise the opportunity because there's too long a time between contact, things like that. So it could actually cost money ultimately.
Absolutely, because companies are missing leads and missing opportunities, and like you say, there can often be such a delay. For example, if leads are coming in via the website, for example, then they probably don't know where to hold them. They might be in the back end of a website, but there's no connection with any other solution other than, I'll take that on board and I'll pop that down in my diary. And they can't get hold of a prospect, and then they forget to put another date in, and then they forget to call them back. So that's one of the things that we notice quite a lot.
I imagine that'd be very frustrating for a business owner to realise that they've lost an opportunity just because the diary got messed up or they couldn't keep contact.
Absolutely. And especially with sales teams particularly, Gary, what happens in a lot of sales teams, people don't want to share. So they don't want to share contacts, and they hang on to possibly their little black book, which has followed them around for years, or they put it in places that other people can't find it, and then there just is no seamless workflow.
So let's go to the beginning of the journey then. So somebody's invested into a CRM system. Then of course there are many choices. I realise that. How does the CRM system connect with or start to help their marketing?
So marketing is often one of the things that's added on at a later stage, believe it or not. So people don't necessarily look on a CRM as just a marketing tool. They mainly go for it as CRM for sales and then add on marketing at a later stage. And the reason for that is they can get data from their sales pipeline and their opportunities, their conversions, and then they can probably start to segregate that data and look at where they need to market. So it's a bit of a reverse because a lot of people don't always know their target market. They believe they do, but without looking at historical data, they don't necessarily know who to market to. They often think that they can sell to anyone, and I'm sure you've heard that phrase. However, the data can often tell them something different.
But if a company's invested, for example, in, you said a website, maybe they've got a social media presence, and at some point during the use of those marketing methodologies, someone's raising their hand and saying, I'm interested, tell me more, help me understand more, engage with me. Is that where the CRM journey would start for the customer?
Absolutely. So I'll give you an example of how a lead would work. If a lead comes in through the website, depending on what kind of tools you've got in place, the information can go directly into the CRM. However, if there's a disconnect between solutions, then probably what they will do is manually add that sales lead. In that instance, they will get the opportunity to categorise into different sectors and put further information in there. So that's where the process really starts of the customer journey, so that you're able to get the profiling from the initial start. Yeah.
So we've captured some data, and then I assume then that we would hand that over to a salesperson and say, we've had an inquiry, someone's raised their hand, we've got the data, whatever data is available. We're now into the sales part of the CRM, is that?
Yes.
Is there anything else?
I think different companies have different processes.
Yeah.
So it depends whether the lead qualification process stays with the sales team or whether it stays with somebody who does lead qualification.
Okay.
So it really depends on the size of the business. But in most cases, I think a lot of businesses will hand over to sales and they'll do the qualification process from there.
Yeah. And assuming that the business has got some kind of established sales process that they go through, how does the CRM help with that?
So how we help organisations is we look at how their business works, and then we look at the solution that has been probably chosen by looking at the business analysis that we've done.
Yep.
And then we create the solution according to what their processes are.
Okay.
So rather than trying to fit them into a box, we look and say, okay, how do you currently do something? Is that working for you? Is that if that's not working for you, then we can probably suggest a better way of working so that it fits a seamless workflow, really.
I'd imagine that the sales teams, I'm thinking about some of the bigger companies that I work with, they've got quite a pipeline. So the CRM starts to be the repository, if you like, for that pipeline. And one of the challenges with the pipeline is keeping it current, cleaning it out, things like that. Does the system help with that sort of thing?
Yes, it does, because what we do is we are able to create reports. So depending on the size of the business, we can help look at reports for various different stages. So if there, for example, is a pipeline for X amount of sales, then any time there's a trigger and a sale reaches a certain amount, that can go into a report. Then they could probably look at a report for, say, the next 30, 60, 90 days and beyond. They can look at the percentages of the lead qualification and the opportunity stage. Now, what often happens within organisations is sometimes salespeople make up the percentage.
No.
So
I've
it depends how rigorous sales managers are at following and looking at the data, because we often do talk about the vanity metrics, which help to inflate the pipeline but are of no use to anybody. So it's a matter of creating reports so that those can feed back into the team and to the sales manager, and he can or she can make the overall decision.
And just taking a slight step back into the marketing environment, I guess a CRM allows you to automate some of those procedures. If you get an inquiry, you can respond. If you've got a sales process that requires some kind of touch points, there's some automation in there. How does that help?
Definitely. So, for example, we have some free resources on our website. And what we do is if somebody has a download, if it's gated content, they provide us with the information, and we send that template or download over to them. Then we have a follow-up process, and if they've then chosen to be part of our follow-up process, we give them obviously the opportunity to opt in or opt out. Then we will continue the nurturing process. If they simply want to look at the download, then we just have one follow-up process. So it really depends on the information that's being provided and the information that they're looking at, even on, say, the website. So another thing that we have on our website is something called Web Insights. So we have a scoring on the website. So by different prospects looking at the website and different pages. If they've looked at how to change CRM, for example, we know that that's something that they're considering. It gives us the information of the company, and that gives us the information then to be able to contact them and just ask if it's something that they're interested in, especially if they've then been to the resource page and downloaded something like a business case template.
Yeah. And I guess over time you must be able to develop some stats to kind of indicate how those automated processes increase the overall conversion rate. Is there any evidence that that's, a powerful enhancement?
Yes, exactly. We can look at the information, and through analysis we're able to make decisions on what the next steps will be, what's working for us, what's not working for us. And so rather than just having general information that's going out to everybody, we can target it and make it suitable for the people that are inquiring.
Yeah. And then back in the sales process, I'm thinking that at some point, salesmen eventually will get to the point where they'll go, this isn't actually a valid lead anymore, and we can take it out. So we get a slightly more accurate picture of what's in the pipeline.
Absolutely. We only follow things up when they've got a certain lead scoring. If there's several pages that are just being looked at and they're the same pages over and over again, then that could be just a low lead score. However, if one particular company has looked at, say, 7 different pages on our website, then the lead score goes up, so we know and we're made aware that that's more of an interest to them.
So it's a kind of an engagement score almost.
It is,
they're showing more and more interest in various different parts.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and which would drive a different type of follow-up, presumably, or a more consistent follow-up.
Absolutely, because we only follow up if the lead score reaches a certain level.
Right. That's interesting. And the people who don't get to that lead score, we just leave them to show some commitment in the future.
Yes,
somewhere,
because it could be that they've just come across our page, they've been doing some research. Again, we get a lot of research from students, particularly, especially when they've been on business courses. We notice an increase in the student email addresses. We become fully aware that not all universities and colleges are interested in what we're selling.
That makes sense. And I guess businesses would have other things in place, other types of software, maybe marketing systems and things like that. Is it easy to integrate a CRM with these other systems?
Yes, we do have in-house software development ourselves as well. So we look at integrations of other solutions, and examples of that would be electronic signatures. So when it comes to contracts, credit check-in solutions, that's another one. We also have anti-money laundering. We've created some solutions which particularly help with accountants, solicitors, and those are very popular solutions for those particular sectors. So yes, there's quite a lot that we can integrate. Although we're called CRM Insights, we don't focus just on CRM. We look at the complete digital transformation of a business. So looking at the business systems as a whole business solution.
So we've done some marketing. We've handed over an interested prospect with the right lead score to the sales team. They've done their magic. We get to the point where there is a sale made. I guess CRM doesn't end there. What else does it do? No.
So once we've made the sale, then the discussion goes on with the project team, and the phasing is then put in place. Those discussions will already have taken place because we do a business analysis workshop, so that we know exactly how to scope the project. That then goes into an allocated team, and once the project has been delivered, then obviously we have the training included in the project delivery. beyond that, we carry on working with organisations so that we stay with them and keep understanding the way that their business is operating. So, for example, last year we experienced quite a high number of new projects with existing customers, which was showing us that the market was changing in quite a different way. And that gives us the opportunity then to make suggestions that they probably haven't even thought about. So because that sits with the account management team, then they're able to make suggestions, keep visiting and do annual reviews with them about where the business is at. Are the reports working for them?
Yeah. Thinking about it from the end user's perspective then, so I'm in a business and I've got a CRM, and I've used it in the marketing environment and I've used it in the sales environment and I've got the sale out of it, and we now have a new customer on board. Customer relationship management suggests to me that there's a lot more that happens after that from the end user perspective.
Definitely. And one of the things I would just like to highlight is that with a lot of suppliers, when it comes to finishing the project, many providers do actually outsource their support to third party.
Okay.
We don't do that. We do everything in-house, which means that for any queries the customer may have, they get to speak to the team that have implemented it, so that we again are able to work with them to help them through things that may crop up beyond the completed implementation.
So if I'm using the CRM, just to think about the moment when I've made the sale, I'm going to carry on managing managing my customer relationship using the CRM. What does it give me once the sale has been made?
Again, we set up various different elements within the CRM. So key account management is one of them.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So we look at the key account management and we're able to tell when the last email went out to them, when the last touch point was, when the last contact was made, because that's all integrated as well with the phone system. So if we make a call to one of our customers, then the call recording will go directly into their record, so we will be able to review that and see what the last conversation was, that if somewhere along the line we wanted to go back to it. Also, if we have online meetings, we keep recordings of those and we send copies to our customers, so they're kept in the loop as well.
So if I was running a business and I had a particular policy or strategy for keeping in touch with my actual existing customers or prospects that had been close to buying but didn't, then the CRM is going to help me to manage that and make sure that I don't drop one of those plates and forget to get in touch.
Absolutely, because what we do is we regularly review lost projects. We often find that if we were, say, one of two providers who were putting in a request, if we lost that sale, then we go back to them and just check how the project's gone. So that can be a 6-month touch point, or it can be a year.
Yeah.
And in some cases we have picked up more business.
The point being that you don't have to remember. The CRM is going to say to you,
absolutely,
it's been
just
6 months, and go for it. And I guess the technology's changed a lot. AI is everywhere. Is there a place for AI in the CRM world? What's happening there?
Yes, now that's really interesting, because that's something that's in our marketing strategy. And as things change, obviously the analysis of data is going to be something that companies will be able to look at, especially when it comes to big data.
Yeah.
Some companies are already using it for marketing purposes, and with various different AI tools, you can almost train it to be looking at what's working for your market, with, especially if you've got that market intelligence.
So potentially some quite interesting developments coming with the way that you make decisions or analyse data because of the AI content
Yes, I think it is at the early stages. I think some of the tools are probably only about a year old,
Sure.
and I think people are probably still getting used to the idea and getting their head around it. But I think it's something that's going to be with us. Yes.
Yeah. So again, looking at it from the business owner's perspective, it sounds like this is a great way to get organised, but I imagine there must be some pitfalls or potential downsides. What do you see when people don't quite get the CRM thing right?
In terms of projects or in terms of software adoption?
In terms of imagining how CRM is going to help them and then suddenly discovering that it doesn't for some reason, or there's a pitfall from having to manage the data in that particular way.
So before we start a project, something that we offer is the Insights Workshop, which is all about the business analysis. And it's a standalone piece of work. So we make sure that at that stage the companies are fully engaged. We have key users who will be sitting in the room and putting into the project what they need for them to deliver their own work. So we make sure that there are champions within the business to help the project be successful. There are situations where companies, I think in different departments, do try different workarounds and just think, maybe there's something that I can quickly use and then add that at a later stage.
Yeah.
However, the reports tend to flag this up. So if there are issues, we can tell even from the usage, because we get reports on usage, how many people are logging in, how many people aren't logging in, when they did last log in. So we get reports and that flags to us that there could be an issue. So say there's a business of 20 users and we notice that only 12 are using it on a regular basis, then we're able to have that conversation and just say, look, we've noticed that these accounts are or these users are using the software. Some aren't. Just wondered if there's a bit of an adoption issue that we could help you with.
Because I suppose it is feasible, although a lot of your early work would prevent this, but it's feasible that it could overcomplicate the process for some.
We work in and we phase it. So it depends just how much or how big a project we're delivering for them. If we're starting off with a small project and then companies have just become fully engaged with those, then we can then move on to a different part of the project. So at each point we've got full engagement.
Yeah. I was thinking about my experience in the corporate world where you've got this kind of strange personality disorder in the sales team. I can say that because I was in the sales team. Where you're the kind of person who can go into any kind of environment and engage with people and build rapport, and you're very open and you like to be, make a conversation and build a relationship. But you're not the kind of person who fills in the software data afterwards, or the kind of person who likes the detail of recording every person you've spoken to and what they said and why they said it and how that could turn into a prospect. I guess that might be a challenge for some. Yes,
I think, what we tend to do is look at how we can make it simple enough for the sales team to engage. So in some cases there are templates. In other cases there are just drop-down boxes. So rather than them having to write a complete essay about the conversation they've had, they can probably just keep it to simple terms. Like when's the next call, spoke to them, call back in 6 months, those sorts of things. The other thing that I touched on was call recording. So if they've got an integrated system, then voice recordings can be added to records.
Sure.
And those can be automated.
And do the CRM systems generally sort of have an app-based approach as well, so that it's actually easier for a salesperson to take the phone out of the pocket and deal with that rather than having to go back to a desktop?
Yes, they do. Yes, so those can be put on, say, a tablet or a phone. So mobile solutions.
So if let's say I'm a small to medium-sized business, and I recognise that I'm dropping the plates and I'm thinking about a CRM, how do I work out what my return on investment will be? How do I look at the investment in the CRM system, in the advice and the consultancy that it takes to implement it, and say, overall, this is going to be worth it?
I suppose it depends just exactly what the processes are in the business.
Yeah.
Because our guys are business analysts as well, they're probably able to help with things that companies haven't even thought of.
Yeah.
Because some start off in a certain way. As the business grows, they don't necessarily change the processes. So there are some things that they've probably not even thought of. We're able to then look and say, well, if you did it this way, this could save you. An example is for some software that we developed for one company, which it was taking them 24 hours to quote, and we brought that quote time down to an hour. So that's an example of how much time they would save. If you look at the number of people that would be involved in that, that would just give them an example of what difference it could make to a business.
I think about the tradespeople that I've worked with in the past, where the quote turnaround time could be, an hour, but actually they'll forget to follow up, or if they don't get a response to the quote, it's something that goes on the back burner. And in the meantime, that person's gone off to get another quote from somewhere else, and that business then gets lost. So there might be a pounds, an actual pounds number attached to that lost business that could be a counterbalance. Yeah.
Yes, and we do have things within CRM that give you the opportunity for the reason for the lost sale, and then you can have reports that report on those sorts of things, so that at any time that you can just pull those back up and just look at if there's any pattern that seems to be followed.
Where people have dropped out of the sales process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a final bit of advice from you, if I may, Mandy. Let's imagine that I'm sitting on the fence and I'm thinking, I know I'm dropping plates, but I'm not sure whether I should do the CRM or not. What are the three main advantages of having a CRM, so that you can persuade me to get off the fence?
I think they probably need to consider what's costing them time and money, what a difference it could make, and what is actually stopping them. Is it an understanding? Is it a cost? Or is it just the fear of change?
The fear of change, that probably is one of the main things, because I guess the implementation takes a while, and there will be new things to learn and new techniques and new systems to put in. So, yeah. Great. I mean, we've gone end to end there on CRMs, and I think, from the point of view of a business recognising that it's dropping plates and needing to do something about it, that's a great story to go through. So thank you very much for joining me on the Business Sense podcast.
And thank you very much, Gary.